Hey guys, Claudio Valdivia here with the Think Real Estate team. I want to welcome everybody to episode 14 of the Think 30 series. On today's episode, we're going to talk about vision. Um, a lot of times we start a business or we take on a new position and we're conducting business as usual. There's not a lot of thought that goes into vision. And I actually have invited an individual that was a mentor of mine for many years. He's been a good friend of mine for the last 10 years. This guy's an unbelievable communicator, and everything he does is from a position of vision casting. It's vitally important, in my opinion, to have that vision for your business and for your life. But because I would do this conversation no justice, and this guy would rock it out, I invited my friend Rich Eason to discuss vision and the impact that having a vision for your business can have on the overall success of the business. So, Rich Eason.
Hey, how are you? What's going on, man?
I'm doing well, brother. How you doing?
Fantastic, fantastic.
So Rich, you've led thousands of people. You've spoken in front of altogether probably hundreds of thousands of people, and you've talked about this subject at length. You and I work together in multiple different aspects of business. We've partnered up on some things individually, and then we've partnered up with some corporations to help drive their business and make those businesses successful. You cast vision like no one else. And I'd like to, before we deep dive into what vision can do for a business, I'd like you to kind of define what vision is.
Well, first off, I appreciate that introduction. I thought I was talking today, but I appreciate that, Claudio. And obviously, our relationship, goes way back, and we've done a lot of great things together and accomplished a lot for a lot of different companies. And so I'm excited about chatting today, and hopefully I'll be able to bring some value to anybody who happens to watch this. I think, when we talk about vision, I think vision is critical. It's kind of the governing force in every single one of our lives, in our business. And so no matter what it is, I think people have to have visions in different areas of their lives. I think they've got to have personal vision. I think they've got to have a business vision. I think it's probably a good idea to have a fitness vision. And I know that that's had a huge impact in my life. There have been times where I've been in great shape, and times I've been out of great shape. And last year I lost 65 pounds, so that was a big component. But it all began with a vision. Yeah, it all started with having a picture of what I wanted. And so, if we're talking specifically about business vision, I think the biggest thing is it's your destination. It's where you wanting to go, right? It's the idea or the concept of where you personally want to take your business. And I think you couple that with the purpose of where you want to go, and that becomes your vision. So it's absolutely critical. I think vision plays a huge part in every aspect of our daily performance. One of my favorite books, there's a quote in there, a line in there that says, "Man without vision shall perish," or "Man without vision shall cast off all restraint." And what that means is that man without a vision will live an undisciplined life. We just it doesn't mean that you die. It just means that you kind of sit on your couch and you're not moving with purpose. You're not moving with a reason. You don't wake up every morning energized. You don't wake up focused. You don't wake up with a plan. You just kind of go through life as a wandering generality. But when you have vision and you're really trying to pursue it, and that's your destination, I think it governs every decision that you make on a daily basis. So vision's pretty critical.
Okay. So a lot of people spend time on goal setting and goal planning and writing down the goals, right? That there's such an emphasis on the goal aspect of business, but based off of what I'm receiving, the vision supersedes the goals. Like the vision is what comes first, and the goals are kind of driven from that. Would you agree, or would you like to expand on that a little bit?
Totally agree with you. I think goals are more process driven, right? Um, Goals are checkpoints along the way. They're benchmarks. They're things that our daily activities move us towards. Where your vision is really beyond that. I think your vision uh, has to be really, it should be endless, right? I don't know if you'll ever achieve your vision. If you do, I think at that point you kind of start going backwards, right? And I think you have to be able to renew your vision, and as you achieve certain checkpoints along the way, I think it's super important to redefine where you're going, and redefine what it is that you're trying to accomplish. It's kind of the peak to peak principle. In other words, you climb a mountain and you think, oh, I can't wait to get to the top of that mountain. But once you get to that mountain, you see, wow, there's another mountain, there's another opportunity, there's another a vista on the horizon. And so, you will adjust your vision as time goes on. But I think every business has to start with that vision. And when you do that, obviously, you reverse engineer your goals and your checkpoints along the way to where you currently are.
I love that illustration of being able to climb the mountain, achieve that goal, and then see the other mountain and say, hey, that's the next. I'm envisioning that next challenge. For most people, they don't go from peak to peak, right? They're stuck on the one vision of climbing this mountain, and when they hit a bump in the road, that vision gets blurry. Can you kind of talk about how somebody can keep the vision alive, how they can keep that flame burning?
Yeah, I think you've got to visit it on a regular basis, and I think one of the things too is mentorship. You've got to get around people who have achieved greatness. You've got to, whether that's through, and we have such an amazing opportunity with technology today. I mean, you can get around a wealth of knowledge through podcasts, through books, different media, and put your brain in the presence of people who have accomplished amazing things today. And I think that's super important. I think you did a podcast or a conversation about personal development just recently. And I think that is so important because it expands the leader's vision. And for, I'm sure we'll talk about it at some point today, but vision casting, being able to share your vision to find out who's going to be on your team, and who's going to help you accomplish those goals. But when you look at moving through the challenges, because nothing is going to be super smooth, right? I think your vision is what keeps you moving towards those, and you have to renew your vision. When I say renew your vision, I mean visit it. You have to consistently explore, visualize, spend time journaling, meditating. Do all those things to keep myself on task, so that when there is a stumbling block or a challenge, you are moving through it. I think that's one of the most important things, is keep your eyes on where you're going, so you don't die on any certain hill. It's, if your vision is to go to Disneyland, right? You're not thinking I'm just going to Florida. Your vision is, I'm going to Disneyland, where I'm going to have fun with my family. We're going to have this amazing experience. We're going to enjoy the park. We're going to stay in a nice resort. If you get a flat tire along the way, you don't just stop and be like, oh, I guess we're not going to Disneyland, right? Because you have a vision for where you're going. You're going to change that tire and you're going to get back on the road as fast as you can. And I think that's important. You've got to maintain that vision of where you're going and why you're going, because that's what'll move you through the obstacles. You're also probably not going to pull off, if you've got a date of check-in and when your trip and your amazing trip begins, you're probably not going to pull over to the side of the road and go check out the world's largest ball of yarn, that just happens to be on the way down to Florida, because, that's not part of your vision. You're not going to get distracted by other shiny objects along the way if you have a very clear vision of where you're trying to get to.
Very cool. The earlier we talked about goals and how it's the day-to-day, it's the tangible, it's the thing that you can check off and say, I've accomplished that. That is, for a lot of people, that's the instant gratification world that we live in, right? So that is simple. The keeping the vision as you just described it is a little bit more difficult. But I don't want people to get those two confused, because it's our need for the instant gratification that can kind of take this conversation that we're having right now and throw it on its head, right? Um, vision statements.
Mhm.
Vision statements for business and catchphrases and core values. How do those all kind of play into vision, or do they um, is it are they needed in order to uh, keep the vision alive? What are your thoughts on those things?
Um, I think it depends on where you are in the organization. I think if you're division caster, you probably don't need a catchphrase to remind you of what's going on. But um, if that's something that you implement that helps keep the team moving forward, I think that that's fine. Um, Part of uh, vision casting, I think, I used to always say that anytime you're having a meeting, it should do three things. It should build a dream, which is really the vision, right? It should build the team, right? Which is those around you who have assembled, who have bought into your vision. And it should build belief, right? People don't move unless they believe that they're going to get where they want to go. So all of those things are certainly important. And I don't want to diminish the value or the importance of those daily activities that produce the results that move you towards your goal. Those are absolutely critical. But obviously, we're talking about vision today. So I think that the leader has to have a very clear vision of where he wants to go. And he's got to be able to communicate where he wants to go and why he wants to get there, right? Because at that point, that's when you start finding people that are attracted to that vision. The other thing that I think is super, super important that the vision caster has to be able to do is have a vision that's big enough to attract other people's vision, so that if you want to draw talent to you, like really good talent like yourself, you've got to have a vision big enough that's going to incorporate their vision. In other words, they're going to have to be able to see their personal vision being accomplished through the accomplishment of your bigger vision. Does that make sense? If
Absolutely.
if if there's somebody out there who wants to develop personal and economic freedom, and my vision only produces personal and economic freedom for myself, but not for them. Like, in other words, my vision is dependent upon them constantly working for the rest of their lives. I'm probably not going to attract the type of talent that I want to build a large business. And here's the deal. You might very well attract the type of talent that would be comfortable working a job for the rest of their lives. And there's nothing wrong with that. Everybody has different goals. Everybody has different dreams. Everybody has different visions. So, but I think the vision caster needs to be very clear as to what they're trying to accomplish at any given point in time, especially when they're starting their business. It's too easy, especially in the real estate world, man. I mean, there's so many different directions, so many different avenues that we can pursue in the real estate environment, that if you don't have a pretty clear destination, you're going to struggle. There's so many things you can put resources and time and energy to in this space that if you get sidetracked or you don't know what you're trying to accomplish, you can end up chasing squirrels all day long. And I think you and I have worked for people that have done that, right? It's like idea of the week, or here's a shiny new tool, or here's a shiny new CRM, or here's a new shiny tool, shiny lead gen opportunity, and you end up running around chasing your tail instead of moving forward.
Yeah, and that, today we're talking about vision, and all that does is muddy the waters to where you can't see the direction that you're heading. You jumped ahead a little bit in regards to vision casting. There's been multiple times throughout our relationship that you've challenged my vision to include others, right? Like I brought an idea to you, and you flat out said, "Hey, it's not big enough. Go back and rethink it, because in order to accomplish what you want to accomplish, your vision has to incorporate more individuals." And so those were great challenges to me, because it helped me think at a higher level and bring in more people to the fold, thus making them successful and myself successful. You and I have the gift of Gab, and we can talk to somebody and pull out the necessary ingredients to put them into the vision. How does somebody that's watching this for the very first time, they're getting ready to get into a position of leadership in their current job, their current role, or they're getting ready to launch a business? How do they effectively go about communicating what we just talked about, that vision casting? How can they communicate the vision to the people that they're getting ready to partner up with?
That's a great question. Um, I think a lot of that begins with self-awareness, right? Like you've got to take personal inventory of who you are and what you're good at, and the fact that you're entrepreneurial minded and wanting to start a business is fantastic because a lot of people don't have that. I think that it's super important to. One of the things that helped me down this path was journaling. Right, I would wake up every morning, just spend some quiet time, and I would write down my thoughts. It didn't matter what it was. Could have been personal, could have been relationships, could have been business, whatever. And then I would do that every day, and then I would go back and read that stuff a week or so later, and I would be like, wow, I can't believe I was in that state of mind, whether it was positive or negative. And I think that when you develop that self-awareness and you start realizing what you're really good at and what you suck at, I think that's important, because what it'll allow you to do is to notice and define and discern potential in other people, right? It'll allow you to see people as their best self, because you're on a journey of personal growth. You start seeing people as they can be instead of as they might be right now. And when you do that, you can start putting people into roles that might stretch them, but that they're totally capable of accomplishing if they're willing to grow. And I will tell you, if you really want to attract talent, you've got to be willing to stretch and develop your people. You've got to be willing to trust them. And I think that all begins with self-awareness, because with that self-awareness, again, like I said, you can identify certain traits inside of other people. And as you do that, you start to surround yourself with people that are better than you at certain areas, because you understand what you're good at and what you're not good at. You can bring in people into the fold in partnership that will fill in the gaps. And I think there's nothing better than a leader who can surround himself with people that are better than him at certain things, right? Because then you start functioning as a team, and then you get into the vision casting, right? Because to surround yourself with those people, they're going to have to be bought into the destination. They're going to have to want to go to Disneyland too, right? If they don't want to go to Disneyland, they're on the wrong bus, right? So I think that component of it all begins with the personal retrospection, self-awareness, having a firm understanding of where you want to go, and then being able to communicate that so you can surround yourself with the right people.
Well, man, that was good. That was really good. So putting people in place that are better than you in certain areas to achieve a common objective. Do you feel that you have to be as we're talking about this, these individuals that are in the fold are going to have their own visions. Do you feel that you have to be the biggest vision caster in the room in order to keep everybody on your team, or well, like, what does that look like? Just to kind of make it clear for those individuals that are listening to this, and they're like, yes, I'm willing to put myself in a position where I surround myself with people that are stronger than me in certain areas, but I don't want to lose control of where I'm trying to take this thing. What are your thoughts there?
Well, it's interesting. Like I've always, I can't even remember where I read this, but it said you can have control or you can have growth, but you can't have both, right?
Boom.
And so I think that there have been times where I've brought people onto my team and I'm like, wow, this guy is so good. It expanded my vision, right? Like we can accomplish so much more than even I believed, that it changed me. And I think that that's what you want to surround yourself with, right? Is those people that stretch you and make you, and like, oh my gosh, with people like this person, I can change the world. And I think that that's what you're looking for. I think the biggest challenge that a lot of people have is self-image, right? They're challenged, or their ego is threatened by somebody who's better than them in certain areas, and they think that they might lose their pedestal position. And I think that one of the things that you're going to have to do, or one of the things I realized I was going to have to do, was get rid of the ego piece, so that together in partnership we could accomplish something greater than any of us as individuals could do. And that's really super important when you're looking at building something that's long term, right? You know, you and I talk a lot about, we've got kids. You have a small village at your house. I only have 3. But we talk about that a lot. It's like legacy, right? I want to build something that outlasts me, and I know that I can't do that on my own. So how do I surround myself? How do I incorporate something that has enough value? Because here's the deal: if you attract quality talent and they can't accomplish their vision in partnership, they'll go do it somewhere else with someone else, right? They'll go find some other place in the universe that the law of reciprocity is going to kick in, and they'll take their time, energy, and experience and apply it to something that will give them what they want. And so why not provide that environment for them and go out and crush it and create something huge? So I don't know if that answered your question. I think that, you know, we were talking about it earlier before this call. Is like I read this, another, it was probably a meme somewhere. You know, those are floating around so much, but it said companies need to stop hiring chess players and treating them like chess pieces, right? If you want to build something huge and you want to attract the right talent, then you're gonna be hiring independent thinkers who are going to bring things to the table. And oftentimes they're going to challenge you. And if your ego isn't big enough or small enough, whichever way you want to say it, if your ego can't handle being challenged, then you're really looking for minions. You're not looking for leaders. And if you have minions, you're going to have a small company. So it really is based on your vision. Again, your vision is going to govern that decision making. We've worked for people that just want minions, right? And that didn't bode well for you know, us at all. And I think that that's why we find ourselves where we are today, is going out and doing something independently that will produce the desired result. We've made a lot of people a lot of money, and you know, it's exciting to be doing things that are way more entrepreneurial. So does that make sense? Did that answer your question?
Oh yeah, oh yeah. It was a perfect illustration, right? At the beginning, have a vision that's big enough to bring top talent into the fold. Once that top talent is there, you know, check your ego at the door and allow their strengths to expand on that vision, and let the individuals work on their strengths, as opposed to trying to point out weaknesses, and allow that to continue to expand the vision, thus expanding your vision. And it's just the tide raises all ships.
Yeah. The key is do you want to be a leader, or do you want to be a boss?
Yeah.
Right. You know, and I think that, and people have to earn I mean, if you're the vision caster, which means the idea generator or the owner of the business, then it's your table, right? And so you have to put certain qualifications and parameters around who gets a seat at that table. But here's the deal: is if you have said, okay, I trust this individual, this person brings a certain talent, a certain level of expertise to the table, and they get a seat, then it's collaboration at the table, right? It's, you know, the swords come off, the egos get put to the side. And when we're in the war room and we're talking about growing something and moving it forward, there's no positions, right? We're all there. Now, at the end of the day, right, the owner bears the risk, the bulk of the risk. So when there's a vote, that owner's weight is going to carry more, right? The vision caster's weight is going to carry more because it's his enterprise. But at the end of the day, everybody's ideas and everybody's perspective should have the same weight as they work through the process. right? Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
Because they have either done certain things or have a certain talent or a certain gift or whatever, that has earned them the right to be part of the team. So, and again, that comes from that self-awareness piece, right? If you're super self-aware, you're going to surround yourself with people that will help you get the job done. I think and it's not just about resumes. It's not just about, how long they've done something. I mean, there are people in this industry who will rip it from the frame, who have, are new because they're bringing experience from other industries and shaking things up. I think, the real estate world is ripe for disruption, in my opinion. And the reason that is because it's been done the same way for so long, right? And who's to say that's the best way?
Yeah.
I remember hearing something, a mentor of mine said something that was so powerful, and it was early on in my career. I was probably in my 20s or something like that. And he said, all you know is what you've learned, but what you've learned isn't all there is to know.
That's good.
Right? That got me open-minded real quick, right? Because everybody thinks they know everything, right? And so the minute you stop learning is the minute you start going backwards. And I think we've got to be open to new ideas and be willing to, vet them properly in war rooms like that, and execute on them to make an impact. So I hope that makes sense.
That's awesome, man. This is some powerful stuff. My target audience right now, because of my position, is real estate investors. But I think that individuals from any walk of life can listen to this message and really take away so many golden nuggets to apply to their life and their business and move forward more clearly. So I appreciate you so much. Are there any closing words closing thoughts that you want to deliver to the individuals watching?
No, man. I appreciate you having me, come share. That's my heart and my passion, is to help people develop their potential and accomplish great things. And, a lot of times it's really just about finding what your gifting is. And, I think you're never happier than when you're in the place you're supposed to be doing what you were created to do. I think that's truly joy and truly happiness. And I think a lot of people are out there probably living lives of quiet desperation because they're doing something that they weren't created to do for an amount of money that makes no sense. So, when you get out there and you're doing the entrepreneurial thing and you find out who you really are, and you start surrounding yourself with people like yourself and other folks out there that are actually out there doing it, making things happen, creating something from nothing is pretty powerful. So I love this. This is like one of my favorite things in the world to do. And hopefully you'll have me back on. Hopefully this wasn't the last time we'll chat.
No, absolutely not, man. I appreciate the friendship. I appreciate the mentorship. I appreciate all the knowledge that's in that brain of yours. Thank you for sharing today, man. So much. Like we're eternally grateful.
You bet, buddy. Take care.
Have a good one, man.
Peace.
Bye.